Panthers general manager Dan Morgan. We've gotten a chance, Dan, to see a lot of the young guys tonight, a lot of the rookies. And you said after the draft, you didn't think there was any way in all the mock drafts that you did that your first 3 picks would have been available when you were on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I think strategically, I think we did a really good job along with our analytics department of just kind of knowing who was going to be there at what time and projecting that. Eric Eager, who's our head of analytics, he does a great job. So, yeah, it was one of those things where we took T-Mac in the first round. We were super excited about that. And then you come back and you draft Nick Scordon and Princely. So 2 really good edge rushers that we're excited about. So couldn't have worked out any better.
Dan, I have a question for you. So, being a linebacker, first-round pick, how is it when you're watching these linebackers or when you're grading linebackers? What's the process that you go through? Because this game is a little bit different, I think, when you came out. It's a lot more spread out. What's the whole process? How do you kind of get your mind around, okay, I didn't play in this type of game the way it is nowadays?
Yeah, I think first of all you got to be really smart. You got to be smart. You got to have the instincts. I think the instincts definitely pop out on the tape. And then, you have to be rangy. You have to have speed and athleticism to play in this league right now. So, we look for those type of guys, those type of traits, height, length, speed, athleticism. And, you watch the tape and then you get to know the guy and then you make a decision.
Nice run there by Amani Bailey. Go ahead, Steve.
When watching the tape, you get to learn that guy. But are there some preconceived notions about these players as you go through your interview process to decide if a guy fits the criteria outside of his physical attributes?
Yeah. Now
that gives you an opportunity to learn about mentally what he is or isn't capable of?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that has to do. You got to spend a lot of time with these guys. You got to get to know these guys not only as players, but you got to get to know them as people. What makes them tick? What motivates them? How passionate are they about football? How passionate are they about their teammates and winning? So it's a lot of work that goes into it.
That comes from the area scouts, right?
Yeah, correct. So we have area scouts that go out. They scout, get all the background, and then we actually have Brian Decker, who all he does is go out and get information about the players, their background, and just all the little things that I wouldn't get at a school. So, yeah, we dig on these guys. We do a lot of work. We get to know them, and then, by the end of the draft process, we're ready to roll.
So when you have a young player who, like on this roster, or someone you were thinking about pulling the trigger on, but for whatever reason someone else, like you said, was available based on statistics and data, and all of a sudden that player now becomes available. I've heard coaches say this, and I've always been a little bit intrigued when the coaches say, I always loved him out of college.
Right.
But then he's been in the league or bounced around for the last 4 years. Why are you still evaluating the kid your love out of college 4 years ago when he showed you the deficiencies that you thought he may have are actually carrying on right before our eyes on the field?
Yeah, I mean, I think guys do develop, so you got to watch guys, and you always got to have an open mind, and, guys do change. But at the same time, you can't fool yourself and think that if they're with another team that all of a sudden they're going to change and, be different with your team just because of your culture, your locker room. So what's going on out there?
A busted play. Steelers are saying the ball came out.
The ball came out. The ball came out twice.
But I think I answer your question?
It was great.
Yeah.
So last year we had the #1 priority in the claims.
Yep.
So I'm assuming you looked at the roster.
It is going to be Pittsburgh football here.
So when you're constructing this roster, you're sitting here last year knowing, hey, we have first dibs on claiming guys. A little bit different this year. How much does that go into effect on when it comes down to the final 53? Is that, okay, we know we might like a few guys that might be let go, but somebody else will claim them. Is that going to be a big difference this year?
Yeah, I think last year compared to this year, last year, like, we were looking for, like, starters at the waiver wire and, like, depth guys that were going to play an important role. This year, we don't feel so much that way. We feel good about our roster, and, we feel good about, we just feel good about the roster as a whole, that we're starting to gain some depth. We're starting to, get the kind of players that we want to get here. But to your point, if we want to, since we're 8th in the order, if we need to, we can, swap late round picks if we really like a guy, just to kind of get ahead of it. So there's ways to kind of get ahead of it. We're always looking into things. We're always going to be creative and try to do things to make this roster a better roster.
So you're telling me there's even negotiations on swapping waiver wire base?
Yep.
So we have claim order, so I can slide you my 7th round pick at 176.
Yep.
And the other person is, well, I'm at 180.
Yep.
So that seems very attractive. So it gives you an opportunity where, I'll gladly give you a hamburger today, but I'll pay you on Tuesday.
Yeah, and you can do that, and you can also, hey, if there's a guy on our roster that they like, and we have a need, and they have a need, and it kind of matches up, then you could always do player swaps as well. So there's a lot of ways to get creative, and we're always going to do that.
Well, you have till Tuesday to figure out what the 53-man roster looks like. Where do you envision the hardest decisions between now and Tuesday?
Yeah, I think obviously, wideout is a deep position for us, so we got to figure out there how many numbers we're going to keep there.
Is there a sweet spot?
I think, you usually keep around, 6 guys, sometimes 5 guys. We have a lot of guys that we like, so there is the potential that we keep 7. But looking around our roster too, we're still, I think, trying to figure out the inside linebacker spot. We're trying to figure out, hey, who's looking good in this game? Is anybody going to show us something that we don't already know? So these games are really valuable to see some of these guys play, and we got our work cut out for us. Let's put it that way.
Hey, Dan, you had the opportunity to get Rico here, and then you have Chuba. Tell me what was you guys' plan when you had that opportunity to formulate that as a possibility?
Yeah, I think, it's a long season, so you need 2 running backs, especially you need 3 running backs actually, but you need 2 running backs, especially like Chuba and Rico, 2 big physical runners. We want to be a physical offense, run downhill, kind of smash you in the face a little bit. Our offensive line's physical, so we love having those guys behind that offensive line. And then, Trevor Etienne, drafting him, he's a really good change of pace back for us. He catches the ball extremely well out of the backfield. He's different than Chuba. He's different than Rico. But I think it's a really good, 3 guys that we have right there.
False start, offense, number 60, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Of all the joint practices, how valuable do you consider these joint practices nowadays, now that we have?
You know what? I kind of wish we did it back when we played. I think it's really valuable. The guys get a lot of work in. It helps with the conditioning. It kind of gives us a look at our roster compared to another roster. We're down there in Houston against a really good Houston team. We did some really good things down there. We felt good about that week that we were down there. But yeah, I think it's great for the guys. They go against each other every day, and it can become monotonous every single day. Just kind of going against each other, going against your teammate that you know how they play. So
the calls.
Yeah, everything. You know how the guy's going to block you. So to go and play against another team, different players, different schemes. I think it's invaluable.
So now, last preseason game, right, tonight. So we won't play again for, 17 days?
Yeah, yep.
So how difficult is it? Because really and truly, the team's not ready yet. No team's ready to play their first regular season game. So, how difficult is it to prepare a team? Okay, hey, guys, I know we're not in camp, but this is still camp mode. We're still grinding. We're still pushing.
Yeah, I think our players understand that. And, I think this training camp, Coach Canales, he's pushed these guys extremely hard. I think they're in really good shape right now. I think we're trending in a really good direction to be ready to go to Jacksonville, which is going to be really hot in week 1. So I think that's the biggest thing is keep your conditioning up, work on your body, get your legs back. It's been a long camp, so, I think, yeah.
Pittsburgh pushed back on the holding penalty here. We just saw a shot of Bryce Young. Dan, year 3, it's a big year for Bryce Young. You guys have the decision after the year for his 5th-year option, but just for the future of the franchise, what has growth looked like for Bryce Young from the end of last season till now?
Yeah, I think he's just maturing, not only as a man, but he's also maturing out on the football field as a leader, the command of the huddle, just all the little details that you need to be a great quarterback. And every day you just see him making steps, and the way he communicates with his teammates and, loves his teammates and, is just always looking for ways to get better. I think we got a good one.
Speaking of a couple of the players that we haven't seen yet, so Tommy Tremble, we feel pretty good about going into week 1. I guess he was just activated, so yep. I think we're starting to feel pretty good about him.
Yeah, we just took him off PUP. Tommy's moving around really well. He looks really good out there on the practice field, running routes, hitting sleds, checking all the boxes that we need to feel comfortable with him to go out and be ready for week 1. So I'd say it's trending in a really good direction.
Talking about week 1, going down to Jacksonville, you talk about the humidity. Talk about what do you guys expect to see out of a Travis Hunter who's now playing who's playing offensive, defense,
yep.
General manager. How does that play in a role for you guys' preparation going into the game?
I think that's really going to be up to the coaching staff how we, decide to play that. But they're a really talented football team, really talented receivers, talented edge rushers. It's going to be a good battle week 1. It's going to be a really good test for us, really good test for them. And I think our guys will be up for the challenge.
Isaac Gifford with a nice tackle to set up a 3rd down and 18 here. Can the Panthers hold Pittsburgh to 3? Skylar Thompson to the air. Pocket collapsing. Finds a lane.
Get him, Trevion. There you go.
And Trevion Thomas closing in fast. There is a penalty marker.
So there's going to be a hold on the offensive line. And
okay,
it's going to be
good.
a hold on Thomas. They held Thomas Incoom. Talk about his play. He's a guy who
we've called his name a lot.
He's flashed all camp, but not only defensively rushing the passer, on special teams.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, super explosive off the edge, really high motor, a guy that's like constantly chasing the ball. And again, like you said, he's a really good special teamer. He's one of our best special teams guys. He's four-phase guy that can do everything, and the opposing teams are going to have to, pay attention to him.
Well, I ask this because you a lot of times hear people complain about the preseason. Please explain to the viewers why in the 4th game some of the starters don't dress and why some of the guys who backfilling your rosters or guys who haven't played much, why is this important even though it's not as clean as you would want it to be?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, it's 3rd preseason game. We're getting closer to week 1. The last thing you want is an injury. Going into week 1, we want all our guys healthy, feeling good, get their legs back. And then seeing some of these young guys, let these young guys play. Let's see who we have. Let's see who stands out. Let's see who sets themselves apart and makes plays. So, I think it's really good for these guys, first of all, to get tape for other teams if we do cut them, but also tape for us so we can make an evaluation on them.
Field goal coming up here for Ben Sauls. He's hit from 38. This is from 42. Left-footed kicker. And that gives Pittsburgh a 13-10 lead. Dan Morgan's got a busy few days ahead of him to finalize this 53-man roster. He's banking on this 2025 draft class. You've seen some highlights tonight from guys like ETN and Ransom. Dan, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Good luck.
Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate it, Dano.
Anytime.